Welcome on into the All Aussie Rules YouTube channel. We've got another season review coming up today. It's the Gold Coast Suns 2025 season review. As each team gets eliminated from season 2025, we are doing a little review episode going through all the stats, all the players, everything you need to know about each team and their 2025 campaigns. We're up to Gold Coast, which means there's not that many to go. Obviously, Gold Coast making it through to the semi-final, so after this one, there's the other semi-final loser, and then we have four more after that. So we're cruising. We'll almost be done. We're almost at the business end of the season. It's pretty crazy. But let's jump into Gold Coast 2025 review, because that is why we're all here. And this is a little summary of their season. Home and away, they went 15-8 with a pretty healthy percentage of over 124 in the end. Pretty solid, almost 125. They finished the ladder end of the home and away season in 7th, and then played 2 finals, winning the elimination final on the road before getting knocked out in the semi-final, once again on the road. Obviously, end the season in 6th spot, so the highest ever finish for the Gold Coast Suns came in 2025. The first time they've ever made a finals campaign, and they also got their first ever finals victory. So they did progress. They have made some movements. Obviously, they made some player moves over the off-season, and I think it really helped. It will be interesting to see what happens with them in the off-season this year, specifically around a couple players, but we'll see how that plays out. Overall, they scored 92 points per game, which was the 4th most in the competition throughout the season, 76.76 against, which is the 5th best defense as well. So really, really good points difference there across the length of the season. They used 37 players throughout the season, which is the equal 8th most amount of players that any team used. 4 debutants equal 11th. So 4 debutants in a season where they moved up the ladder is a good result, I think. Average age of 25.49, which is the 11th oldest, so they're nowhere near the oldest team. And average experience of 97.75 games, which is also 11th in the competition. Their record against the top 9 this season was 6 wins, 7 losses. That includes finals. And their record against the bottom 9 is where they did most of their good work, 10-2. Obviously, one of those losses was against Richmond, and the other one was their second last game of the year against Port Adelaide. So a pretty solid campaign, one where they really could have finished top 4 through the home and away season. Unlucky in some regards, also got themselves to blame. That Port Adelaide loss late in the season certainly didn't help, but yeah, overall, they certainly moved up the ladder. Moving into a game-by-game analysis, they were supposed to start in opening round against the Bombers, but that game was postponed all the way through to the end of the season, which in all honesty probably helped Gold Coast. Essendon were a better team early season, mainly due to injuries, but early season, the Bombers were certainly a lot better than they were late season. Not saying the Bombers would have won. I feel like it would have been a lot closer, though. Maybe it wouldn't have been, who knows. So then they officially kicked their season off in round 1 against West Coast at Optus Stadium, and this was a real statement game. I know West Coast have finished low on the ladder year after year, and this year was atrocious from them. But 87-point win on the road, when last year their biggest drawback and the reason they didn't play finals was because they could not win away games. I think they only won 1 in the end, and that was late in the season. So to get their first win on the road, huge. They then had the bye in round 2 before Melbourne on the road, and they beat them by 58 points. So they were off to an absolute flyer, 2 road wins to start their season. Adelaide by a point. Looking back, that is a big, big win. That was a cracking game. Round 5 was Gather Round. They won that one by 52 points before heading back down to Melbourne and losing to Richmond by 11 points in what was 100% their worst performance of the season. Really bad day, that one. But if you're looking at what they've done up until that point, it's 6 rounds in. They've only played the 5 games due to that bye and postponed game. But they've only, at that point, played 1 home game with 3 away games and 1 neutral game in Gather Round. So to be at the point of 4 wins, 1 loss at that point is really, really good baseline for them. with plenty of home games to come throughout the rest of the season. They then played Sydney at home and won that one in a really good game from them. After starting slow, Sydney got them in the first quarter, but Gold Coast just wore them down, ended up winning by 38 points. Brisbane at the Gabba, always a tough assignment, and they went down by 17 points. A pretty solid performance, but Brisbane were just a little bit too classy. Then they headed up to their home away from home up in Darwin, and they played the Bulldogs, beat them by 10 points in an absolute cracker, and then followed it up the week after against Hawthorn in another absolute cracker and won by 8 points. So, once again, another season of a couple games up in the top end, and they won them both. They then headed all the way down back to Victoria to Marvel Stadium, the scene of their loss to Richmond, and got that win by 19 points. So, got over the loss at Marvel Stadium, I guess. Fremantle beat them on the Gold Coast by 11 points in what was one of Fremantle's best games and one that really started to turn the Dockers season around. Geelong at GMHBA by 24 points, losing that one is not a bad result. Geelong are one of the best teams and certainly at GMHBA Stadium. They then had the bye in round 14. GWS straight out after the bye at NG Stadium, they lost by 7 points. That one could have gone either way. They just couldn't quite get over the line, which was a little bit of a bad run for them. 3 losses in a row. Obviously, the bye sprinkled in there, but just after looking like they were pretty much going for top 4, just a little bit of a stutter there, which allowed other teams to kind of pull away a little bit. They still certainly had a chance for top 4 from this point, but just their first little hint of a stumble. They then played Melbourne up on the Gold Coast, won that easy. Beat Essendon at Marvel Stadium by 41 points, and Collingwood by 6 points after keeping Collingwood goalless for the first half. The Pies came flying back in that third and fourth quarter, but overall, really good result in round 18 for the Gold Coast Suns. They then went to Adelaide Oval, and the Crows got their revenge for losing up on the Gold Coast early season. They knocked off the Gold Coast Suns by 61 points. They then beat Brisbane in their best performance of the season by 66 points. Incredible win up on the Gold Coast. Richmond, they knocked off by 84 points for a little bit of revenge for losing to them earlier in the year. Carlton, they knocked off by 19 points in round 22. Round 23, things started to fall apart again. They were almost a shoo-in for top 4 at this point, but losing to GWS by 35 points. And then in round 24, they played 2 games due to that postponed game, but losing to Port Adelaide on the Friday night by 4 points officially ended their hopes for top 4. So they'll be disappointed because they only lost by 4 points. It was a close game. They did not play their best. They did make up for it the next week. They had to win to play finals, and they did so, beating Essendon by 95 points quite comfortably to end the season 7th on the ladder. They then played in their first ever final. It was an elimination final over at Optus Stadium, and they got the 1-point sneaky win over Fremantle. They led most of the day. Fremantle hit the front in that last quarter, but Gold Coast just held their nerve and got over the line by 1 point. Semi-final was last weekend, and that was Brisbane Lions at the Gabba. Always was going to be a tough one, and the Lions just smacked them after quarter time. First quarter was pretty competitive. They were trying to take that centre corridor, but Brisbane just dominated that area throughout most of the game and ended up winning by 53 points to end the Gold Coast's first ever finals campaign. We'll jump into some stats. We're not going to go through every single stat on this sheet. There's a lot there. It's just some of the key stats. We'll run through some of it. Just have a look, I guess, at what sort of team Gold Coast were this year. You can see not a very high kick team, but definitely a handball happy team. Second most handball, 17th in kick ratio, so therefore second in handball ratio, if you flip it. So a very handball-y team. They get a lot of metres gained, but when you handball that much, you probably have a pretty high disposal efficiency, and that's probably a reason why they're third in that regard and first overall in difference. Inside 50s, they do territory really well, plus almost 7 inside 50s per game. You're going to have a pretty good record if you're getting the ball inside 50 that often. Good contested football team, not so much uncontested. Intercept numbers are fine in terms of just raw intercepts. Centre clearances, defensively really well. offensively okay. Stoppage clearances, kind of the opposite, I guess. Total clearances, basically fourth best in the competition. Not a great marking team, but also don't give up that many marks. But I mean, that's to be expected. Not being a great marking team when they kick the ball less than almost all teams. There's only 2 teams that had less kicks per game than them. Fifth most goals, sixth most behinds, which means they're the sixth most accurate team and fifth most in accuracy difference. So that's always beneficial. If you're kicking straighter than the opposition, you're going to do reasonably well out of that. Shots per inside 50 is really low at 14th. Tackles, mid-pack, score sources down near the bottom there. They do most of their work from stoppages, even though, I mean, they are plus 3.28 clearances per game, so fourth best in the competition there. Third best offensively and third best defensively. A net gain of 9 points per game from stoppage is a pretty good record. Turnovers, not so good. Not that surprising. They're slightly negative on intercepts and still outscore their opposition from turnovers, but only plus 5.9, whereas a lot of the big boys are well above that. The teams that dominate the turnover scoring, Collingwood, Adelaide, Geelong, those 3 especially, have massive numbers compared to where Gold Coast are. Score Origin, defensive half, not great. 10th best offensively, only plus 0.1 point per game. So they do their work in the forward half. Forward half scoring, third best in the competition, fifth best in points difference. And centre bounce, they do pretty well there as well. Third best offensively and number 1 defensively, just giving up 8 points per game from the centre bounce is a really, really good number. So they certainly had some positives this season. There were negatives, but I think overall the positives outweighed the negatives throughout the season. Moving into a little player update, we start with players that missed at least 5 or more games this season. Elliot Himmelberg came across this year to the Gold Coast Suns from Adelaide, didn't get on the park. He missed all 25 games. Charlie Ballard missed 24 games. Malcolm Rosas, 21. Some of these are due to form or level of ability, but these are basically the players that I would consider getting more games than they did. Alex Davies missed 17, came in late season and played some okay football. Played a couple really good games, a couple quiet ones. David Swallow missed 16. Sam Closey missed 11. Jed Walter missed 9. Nick Holman, 9. Braden Fiorini, 7. Connor Buderick, 6. Lockie Weller, 6. And Daniel Rioli missed 5 games. Pardon me. Players that were on their list in 2024 that are no longer there. These are only players that went to other clubs or retired. D-listings are not included in this list. Rory Atkins, he went to Port Adelaide and barely played. His rating looks really good there, but he didn't have much game time, so you can kind of ignore the fact that it is so much higher than his 2024 rating. Sam Day went to Brisbane. Didn't get a huge amount of game time either. He's a role player for them when needed. When they need a key forward that can also do some ruck work. Jack Lukosius, he went to Port Adelaide once again for the second year in a row. Really struggled with match fitness, struggled to get games due to injuries and whatnot, but we'll see how he goes in the future. I don't think it was too big of a loss for them. Sandy Brock went across the West Coast. Had a pretty solid year, in all honesty. Got plenty of game time for the Eagles. Levi Casbolt retired. He didn't do much last year. And same for Brandon Ellis, who also retired. We'll now jump into position by position, and we'll start in the backline. General defenders up first. Their whole lineup was completely different from last year. So 2 of their main general defenders this season were not on their list last year. They've had a lot of players go from general defender to forward general or even midfield sort of thing. So it's just a sign that their list really did change. There was no longer room for Flanders running off the half-back line because they had Noble and Daniel Rioli. So things like that did certainly change, and I mean, Sam Flanders certainly didn't benefit from that, but maybe the Gold Coast Suns as a team did. John Noble played every game and was really good. His rating slightly higher than what it was in 2024 at Collingwood. 20th best general defender in the competition. He played some really good games throughout the year, and I think he'll continue to grow in this lineup. Joel Jeffrey also played every single game. His rating went up quite a bit from last year, from 51st to 24th best general defender. Daniel Rioli missed a few games, certainly late, His rating dropped a fair bit, but I don't think that's anything to be too concerned with. Just probably different team, different role slightly, and maybe, just not needed as much in that high possession games. Will Powell, his rating a little bit down on last year, let's be honest, 28th down to 49th, but still solid. Bodie Uland, basically dead level, stays at 57th, and Sean Lemons played just the one game. Didn't show much in that game. Key defenders, Sam Collins was their main one. He played didn't play all games, but played 22 out of 25. He was the 8th best key defender in 2024, down to 17th this year. Still really good numbers. I just don't think he was quite as good as he had previously been, but maybe that was just the fact that the ball was up the other end for more time this year than it has been previously for the Gold Coast Suns. Mac Andrew, he's kind of a swing player, plays mainly key defence, but when they need a goal, they send him forward, and he can deliver in the clutch moments. He had a good season, very similar to last year. Oscar Adams played 8 games. His rating was quite poor. And Charlie Ballard, just the one game unranked. If they can get him back on the park, maybe that will benefit Mac Andrew and Sam Collins as well. General forwards are next up, and there's a lot of them. This is a big, long list of players. Sam Flanders is still their number one rated general forward. Last year, he was a general defender, the number one in the competition. His rating dropped by the most points, I think, in the AFL this season, from a 71 down to a 44. He just, too many games, struggled to have much impact. There's talk that he's going to leave Gold Coast. He wants more midfield minutes. I just don't think this is the role for him, and maybe Gold Coast just don't have a spot for him anymore. This general forward line is a little bit of an issue for them, so they do probably need some players in this role to start getting a few more goals. Ben Long was really good this year, but outside of him, they probably didn't get enough consistent output from these players. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the off-season entails for Sam Flanders. Ben Long, as I said, was really good this year. His rating went up. He kicked quite a lot of goals, especially early season. Will Graham, he played mainly midfield last year, whereas this year he was more general forward. Played pretty solid. The rating drops, but that's probably because of less midfield time. Ben Ainsworth, you know what you're going to get from him, and you pretty much got it again this year. Nick Holman, similar sort of story, played 16 games. He's a role player. He's not someone that probably would be in their best 23 in an ideal world, but it is what it is. Connor Budrick, his rating looks really low, but I think we'll see him improve over the next couple of years. Malcolm Rosas only got the 4 games on the park. Didn't do much in those games. David Swallow played 9 games, a lot of times as sub. He's retired. He finished on a high, making it to finals and kicking the winning point in an elimination final. Jake Rogers, his numbers not great in his 9 games. Lachlan Gulpin, we haven't seen enough from him yet. Alex Sexton, similar story this year. Barely saw much from him. His rating certainly dropped, but he was a bit more forward this year. And Leo Lombard, in his first season, his rating looks really poor, but I think he is someone that over the next 12 months will certainly blossom a lot better than he was this year. I reckon they have high hopes that he will be that general forward that can add over a goal a game to this Gold Coast forward line. Jumping into the key forwards, Ben King was their number 1 rated forward. He went from 35 to 20. I know he was second in the Coleman. It's hard, he kicks a lot of goals. He doesn't get that many possessions. Pretty much every time he touches the ball, he is going for goal. He needs potentially, I think, to find a way to influence the game a bit more when he's not kicking goals. Because if he's not kicking goals in a game, then he's barely cited. So that's something that maybe he can work on in the off-season, working a way to be a bit more effective around the ground, just to help out around the ground a bit more. Jai Farah played 8 games late season, showed some really good signs, put up some good numbers. I think he is someone that will get plenty more games over the next couple of years. Ethan Reid, 21 matches, okay, without being splendid. Jed Walter, he played early season. His rating's not great. I think he's still a young key forward that will develop over the next couple of years, but at the moment he's just not quite at that level of being a starting key forward, I don't think. So we'll see what another off-season looks like for him, but I do see potential in him. It's just not quite there yet. Moving into the midfield, This is where they had absolute domination. Matt Rowell, Noah Anderson, both splendid this year, both improving their ratings. Matt Rowell went from 16th to 3rd best inside mid. Noah Anderson went from 12th to 4th. So outstanding seasons from them both. Didn't miss a game. Consistently, you know what you're going to get from these two. Noah Anderson added goals to his game this year. He was splendid. Miller, he was really good as well. His rating improved. He went from 24th to 15th. So they're three main inside mids. I know Miller did go forward at times, but they all improved. They all had outstanding seasons. There's no doubt there. Bailey Humphrey, he can put up a really big game. I think last season in 2024, he might have had the highest rated game of the season. Maybe I'm making that up. I don't know. 23 matches from him. His rating went up overall for the year from 73rd to 65th. Alex Davies played some football late. His rating slightly above last year. He played two really good games, and the rest of the games were perhaps a bit quiet. Outside mids, Braden Fiorini played 18 games. Third best outside midfielder in the competition at a rating of almost 54, which is up like 8 points and 20 positions in the ranks. So a really good season from him. Lockie Weller played 19 games, 31st best, similar rating to last year. So solid numbers from him. Sam Closey, played 14 games, had a good year without excelling. I think I expected a little bit more from him. He was really good last year, but no reason he can't bounce back next year. Ben Jepson played just the one game. And then in the rucks, Jared Witts is obviously their number one ruck. He played all but one game, really high rating, 8th best ruckman in the competition this year. Slightly down on last year where he was number 4, but still really good numbers. Very crucial to this Gold Coast midfield that put up some really good numbers this year. Ned Moyle, 3 matches from him. Unranked, obviously, his rating a bit low. He is a secondary ruckman, but as a second ruckman, he's not the worst in the competition. So you can certainly get something out of him when he is playing. Moving on to a little position summary. If you're new around here, we do class ratings for every single player. So we use our rating and positions, and top 10% of each position is elite. 10 to 25% is top class. 25 to 40 is above average. 40 to 60 is average. 60 and below is below average. If you didn't play at least 5 games of 50% game time or more, you would be unranked. They have some good talent up the top. 3 all midfielders in elite. They have 4 top class players, 2 general defenders, a general forward, and an inside mid. So maybe their tools needed a bit more. I mean, they got enough out of Ben King in terms of goals this year, but maybe some support there, possibly. Overall, 14 players in the above average or better category is pretty solid numbers. So 14 players in the top 40% of their positions this season. Pretty decent. 18 in average or better, so that's top 60%, is pretty decent numbers. You want to get that as close to like 22, 23, because that's how many players you're playing each week. Unrealistic for some teams, but they do have a good wide range of talent. Obviously, quite a lot of unranked players, mainly general forwards, because they were trying a lot of things with their general forward line this year. Overall, they have a pretty solid list. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It'll be interesting to see what the off-season entails for players like Sam Flanders. Do they get any players in? They're going to have some draft picks, so we'll see. But they certainly have a list that is building. Jumping into our B and F, so top 5 rated players in each game get best and fairest votes. So winning team get 10, 8, 6, 4, and 2 for their top 5 players, and the losing team gets 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 for their top 5 players. So the losing team get half of what the winning team do. Matt Rowell ends up on top with 131, on top in the competition as well. Noah Anderson, 126. Miller, 84. So their 3 midfielders were outstanding this year and top 3. Jared Witts, 58. John Noble, 32. Joel Jeffrey, 29. Braden Fiorini in 7th with 26. Then Daniel Rioli, 24. Alex Davies, who played just 8 games, gets 18. Bailey Humphrey, also 18 in equal 9th. Ben King gets 12. Bodie Uland, 11. Ben Long, 11. Will Powell gets 10. And then equal 15th is Sam Collins, Jai Farah, and Mac Andrew all on 6. That's pretty much a wrap for this video. Gold Coast Suns had a pretty solid year without being fantastic. They were very, very close to a top 4 berth. probably kicking themselves that they missed that. But at the end of the day, they won the elimination final and still had a semi-final in Queensland, granted against Brisbane. So it was a year of development, a year where they really grew. I think if they can add a couple more pieces, they will certainly be a team contending again in 2026. They're certainly getting better. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Don't forget to like this video. Comment if you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of the Suns 2025 and going forward to 2026, how they will go. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that noti bell so you don't miss any videos. We've got plenty of content coming out on YouTube over the next few weeks. We do 2 podcasts a week, but there's also season reviews for every team. We're going to have a Brownlow predictor video go live over this weekend. Plenty of grand final video content coming out next week before the grand final. So make sure you stick around, hit that subscribe button, and that's pretty much everything I have for you. I'm Jay. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the All Aussie Rules YouTube channel, and I will catch you on the next one.